Welcome. Scott here. Today I bring you another Black Clover mobile guide. Let's proceed to talk about the featured daily boss. It seems that the either upgraded skill effect and extra passive will change from day to day. The boosted mage will also change from day to day. So don't be surprised if the strategy that you have used previously won't work when you do the run today. Now let's proceed to talk about the featured daily boss. You will be fighting Third Eye Disloyal Rhya, one of the Third Eye in the Midnight Sun. Before I go through the upgraded skill effect and extra passive, let me go through his base kit first. His skill 1 is an AoE attack. When he has 4 or less increased damage buff, he will grant himself a 30% reduced damage taken buff for 2 turns. If he has 4 or more increased damage buffs, he will grant himself a 50% increased attack buff for 2 turns. His skill 2 is a single target attacking ability where he will grant himself an extra turn if the target that he is attacking has 2 or more buffs. He will also grant 2 stacks of 10% increased damage dealt buff. His special is a single target attacking ability. If he has more than 10 buffs on himself, he will inflict stun status ailment on the target. If he has 10 increased damage dealt buff, he will remove all the buffs upon using the attack. His increased damage dealt is gain whenever he takes a turn. Like other bosses, he is immune to silence, total silence and status ailments such as stun or freeze. He is also immune to reduced mobility, mobility depletion, and reduced speed. On top of his default skill abilities and passive, he will also gain an upgraded skill effect or extra passive. This will change from day to day of the boss fights. For today's boss buff, these are the following effects. His skill 1 will inflict 2 instances of continuous bleed damage on the enemy for 3 turns if one of your party members have 3 active buffs. His skill 2 will inflict buff immunity debuff on the target for 2 turns. His special will inflict all buff removal on an enemy. This will remove all buffs on the target. Do note that special buffs like invulnerability or mana skin, desperate or anti-magic won't be removed. As you go higher the difficulty level, he will gain extra passive. From part 4 onwards, at the start of the fight, he will grant himself a permanent 30% increased critical rate buff. From part 7 onwards, if he lands a critical hit, he will gain another 30% reduced damage taken buff for 3 turns. For part 10, when he uses his special skill, he will copies 2 of the enemy buffs. With the mechanics explained, let me proceed with my showcase for the runs. I will be showcasing my run in the video.
Let's do this. This is This is go. This is go.